I'm Raquel. I am owner of A Pinch of Salt, and I basically do cooking education for children and adults in Bridgeport closely and the surrounding area.
Nice. All right, so how's your journey been?
Yeah, my journey's been pretty interesting. You know, I'm originally from New York, and having to reinvent myself here in a community where I knew no one allowed me to really challenge myself in a certain way. And the amount of people that I have met, similar to what you're saying, Dave, in terms of, you know, the network, the mentorship, because we all seek mentorship, you know, and you don't know who that person is going to, like, turn on that light bulb for you.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that a lot of you in this room have switched that light bulb on for me.
Awesome.
So, thank you.
Awesome.
Aaliyah Rose, she reached out and she was just like, there's a cancellation. One of the chefs didn't show up. Could you teach a class at the Food and Finance High School? And I was like, I can't teach. I was so scared to come in. And when I got there, these high schoolers were just as big as me or as older. You know, like you're seeing them like, what am I going to do teaching them? And I walked in and I owned it. And I think that's another thing that, you know, that whole fake it till you make it.
Right.
But like people sense when you're genuine or when you're coming across as like, I'm going to give this my best shot. And you know what? At the very end of it, if it didn't work out, then so be it. But like, I'm going to do it, you know? And so I just went in there and I started teaching without realizing I was teaching. Because when you love something, you're able to do it so easily. It's like when, you know, you tell someone to tie their shoe. It's just like, this is the way you tie it, right? Because this is it. And so that same feeling of like teaching them, like, this is how we're going to boil the water. This is how we're going to make the pasta. This is how we're going to make a sauce, came out naturally. And at the end, Aaliyah sat with me and was just like, this is your calling. And I looked at her like, come on, Aaliyah. And she's like, you're meant to teach. And I think, you know, sometimes we don't recognize our own strengths and we're looking for validation and we're always thinking, oh, I'm not good enough. You know, like I would love this, but nah, you know, I need more of this. So it's important to really like have people who around you are going to give you that real raw comment and say like, you know, this is for you, or maybe, you know what, this isn't your gig. And to have that honesty is really important because sometimes you don't see it because we're our worst critic, you know?
Absolutely.
So it was something that I was just like, I might be able to do this after all.
With your experience in the places that you've worked, why Bridgeport? You know, why work with the nonprofits and the places like GVI, the community organizations, when you have the experience to be able to just go a town or two over, you know, in the more affluent neighborhoods and make the type of money that you could be making doing what you did in New York over in places like Westport or whatnot?
That is a very good question.
That is a good question. But I know the answer. I love helping my own. I grew up, you know, I know what food stamps is. I know what WIC is. I know what that block cheese is. I know what Bushwick is. I know a lot of the curveballs that we experience and living in a bubble and not understanding that the bubble actually expands bigger than that. And so what I loved most about food was that interaction with the party. But there's something about working within your community that that satisfaction can't be measured in a certain way. You know, it's just something. So nonprofits that are doing fantastic work like Green Village Initiative, you can't help but want to. I mean, if you don't help your home, then what good is it, right? Like your home has to look a certain way. It has to have a certain order. It has to have peace within it. And then you start branching out, right? So like this is our home. Absolutely. And so that's why I started Bridgeport.
I love that.
Yeah.